What's going on, guys? All right, so today I'm going to do a little Q&A for you guys. These are questions that you have asked me, specifically some things that you wanted to know about, I suppose, myself and the business and rapping and a few things like that. It's going to be very brief. We have 11 questions here, and I'm going to go through these with you right now. So I have them on my phone, just looking them up as we go along. I haven't quite read through all of them, so some of them might be a surprise. Let's start off with number one. So some of these questions, some of you may recognize that you've asked these questions before, or you've asked these questions specifically to me. So I'm happy to be able to answer them for you. Now, question one: what kind of cleaning and care products are safe to use on each type of film? Matte, chrome, satin, gloss, carbon fiber, etc. Also, what to stay away from. So, as far as cleaning products go, when it comes to specific films, now that we have ceramic coating available for wraps, it's actually an amazing addition. So if you're looking to wrap your car yourself or pay someone to do it, if they do offer this service or you're looking to do it yourself, I highly recommend it. It does save you from really scrubbing at the wrap, and it really maintains the finish over a longer period of time. Now, as we wash a vehicle more and more, whether it's paint or wrap or anything else, it begins to fade the paint, dull the paint, or dull the wrap, fade the wrap. Also, UV exposure tends to play a role in that as well. So depending on the climate that you're in, UV exposure will tend to dull the wrap or paint out sooner than later. Now, if the UV is higher than less. Now, when it comes to washing the car, I normally, for a matte finish, just soap and water is pretty basic. There are some specific matte film cleaners. I don't find that they're all that great. I've actually found that, which is funny, one of my customers found out that the orange hand cleaner stuff, he had a matte white wrap, and it got dirty in like a month. It was like gray, it was gray. He found that the orange hand cleaner got the wrap to become pure white again. Funny, right? Now that has a pumice in it, and some of them do at least, or it's like a citrus-based cleaner, and that could dull the wrap out over time. So if it's not white, maybe it has a pigment to it, like matte pink, then it might dull the pink over time, or maybe right away. I'm not certain of that. All I know is that it works tremendously well. As far as cleaning your wrap goes, if you have a matte wrap, it's going to be more susceptible to staining. All right, so staining is going to happen a lot more frequently, or a lot more likely to happen when it's matte. It's like a sheet of paper, basically. So when you have a matte wrap, whether it's white, gray, black, red, yellow, orange, doesn't matter. It's like a sheet of paper. It's like a colored sheet of paper, and it's going to take in staining from daily driving in general. What you can do is wash your car frequently if you are driving it often. Matte wraps have kind of faded out as far as finishes go. We're looking at more like matte metallics, satin wraps, pearls, that kind of stuff now, simply because it's a little bit easier to maintain. Now, when it comes to a gloss wrap you can use spray, detail wax, detail spray, spray wax, an actual wax, nothing with an abrasive compound in it. Though I have seen some shops be able to polish swirl marks out of wraps, you can wax it with like a polishing cream, just like your regular Meguiar's car wax or Mother's car wax. It works pretty well. It may streak a little bit, so you'll have to go over that with a microfiber cloth. I have waxed wraps before. As far as gloss goes, I've also waxed satin wraps. So when I had my satin black wrap, I waxed that as well, and it gave it a bit more of a sheen, made it more like silky, which is super nice actually. And when it comes to chrome, I extremely highly recommend you either laminate the chrome or you get it ceramic coated. Laminating it will help preserve the finish and make washing it way easier. As far as not easier, but it'll make maintaining the finish on the wrap much better. Simply because the lamination won't take in as many scratches as like the bare chrome will. So I highly recommend that you get it laminated. If you get it ceramic coated, that's another option as well. It costs probably about the same to laminate it as it does to ceramic coat it, roughly about the same. So the ceramic coating is nice because it's usually a hydrophobic based product, so it keeps dirt and everything elevated off of the actual surface of the film, and you can just literally spray your car off, as you've seen in the orange chrome that I just showed you in the last couple of videos. Was that this car came in driving through a rainstorm and it was clean. and he picked it up, and I didn't even wash the car, and it was clean. Even the new panels, like they all matched up. So we re-wrapped the door and re-wrapped the bumper on that, and they matched up to the rest of the car, even though we didn't even wash the rest of the car. It was pretty impressive, actually. So the ceramic coating works great as far as low maintenance goes. Now, a chrome wrap is going to definitely take damage, more damage, a lot sooner than any other finish for the most part. It's the most delicate finish that there is, all right? So that being said, if you do get a chrome wrap, you're going to want to take extreme care of that. It's, be gentle when you're washing it with a sponge. Be gentle at all times. You don't want to be aggressive with a finish like that. Carbon fiber. Now, carbon fiber, there's many different kinds of carbon fiber on the market right now. We have gloss finishes, which are gloss laminated. So those are kind of like a gloss finished, like gloss red, for example. Now, you can actually wax that, you can kind of polish that, and it's a lot more resistant to staining and what might happen from daily driving it. The more matte versions are more susceptible to taking in dirt and things like that over time. What you can use is you can use a soft brush, a little soap and water, wash it frequently. The bristles from a soft brush will help get into the texture of the film itself. Now this goes to say as far as a brush metal film or a carbon fiber film goes. Now, one of my favorite films to use is Vivid's True Arc Carbon Fiber because it's a satin semi-gloss finish, and it's very resilient. It still kind of gives you that matte finish and not quite gloss. I mean, it's just right in between anyways. You know what a satin looks like. And it's one of my favorites. It doesn't stain. It takes a tremendous beating as far as daily use goes. Very easy to maintain. Now, I think that's about it as far as cleaning the wraps goes or taking care of it. Typically, things that are safe for a wrap come in a plastic bottle, clear plastic bottle. Things that come in a metal container, like solvents, paint thinner, bar sol, that kind of stuff is not good for your wrap, all right? It's not good for your paint, it's not good for your wrap, obviously, right? So things that come in a metal container are gonna be much more abrasive, so you wanna stay away from anything in a metal container for the most part. This includes like any aerosols, like Windex. If you're trying to use like an aerosol Windex to clean your wrap, I would not use that. It's probably a bit more abrasive than something that's in a bottle, in a plastic bottle. Again, it is an alcohol-based product, but again, stay away from anything that comes in a metal can. That's the only caution that I can really let you or make you aware of. Also, bird poop, tree sap. Bird poop you want to get off the wrap as soon as possible, so I highly recommend keeping some like detail wipes in your car, some wet ones. That way you can just wipe it off if you see it. That way you don't let it sit there on the wrap and it'll stain the wrap over time, just like it will stain your paint as well. All right, let's get on to the next question. So here's the next question. What can you help to take out stains from films? Tree sap, fresh watermarks, contaminants, etc. So typically gloss finishes will not get watermarks. They will not get bird poop marks. Tree sap will stick, of course. Tree sap, you're going to want to use something that's a bit more heavier. So a citrus-based cleaner is going to help a lot as far as that goes. So using a 3M mix of citrus-based cleaner. I mean, there's all kinds of citrus-based cleaners out there. Again, try to stay away from something that's in a metal can, as it would be more abrasive. If you use something in a metal can, it's going to be more effective, but it'll be more abrasive at the same time. So you're going to want to clean that off nearly right away. Use some soap and water. Keep some soap and water nearby if that's how you're going to do it. Tree sap is probably the biggest pain to remove out of all of it. So I have a whole bunch on my car right now, actually. It's okay because I'm rewrapping my car. So as far as that goes, yes, your carbon fiber wraps, your matte and your carbon fiber and your satin wraps are going to stain a lot easier when it comes to that. Kind of answered most of these in question 1 there. Guys, if you have any other questions along the lines of these questions that I'm answering here, please feel free to drop comments in the box below. Now, can I wrap a car where the clear coat has worn off completely? If yes, how? Okay, this is probably the biggest question in the world as far as questions that I get about being able to wrap a certain surface. Some surfaces you can wrap, some surfaces you can't, some surfaces you can, but it doesn't stick very well, and so on. So if the clear coat is actually flaking off the surface, that means if you go to put the wrap down on the surface and you go to reposition the wrap, or not even reposition it, sometimes it'll just lift the clear coat off of the surface. So what you're going to want to do, so to simply put it, if the clear coat is flaking off of the surface, the answer is no, you cannot wrap that surface. Can you wrap a primered bumper or a bare bumper? Yes, to an extent. Will it stick as well as a painted bumper? No, it won't. So you might have some issues down the road. That really depends on how thorough you are with your install. Have I wrapped primered bumpers and bare bumpers that have never been painted before? Of course I have. Do they last? Most of them do. But again, I don't warranty that. Now, if the clear coat is flaking off, you're going to want to sand that down completely smooth. Wet sand it, go through 400, 600 grit, 800 grit, get it as smooth as possible. Around 800 to 1000, you should be smooth enough where the vinyl will adhere nicely and you shouldn't have any issues. If the vinyl, if you get it down to bare metal, the vinyl will stick very well to bare metal. Will it stick to bare plastic as well? Again, that depends on the plastic. Is it fiberglass? Is it polyurethane? Is it a blend? So these kinds of things play a factor as well. Some plastics leach oils while others don't. So if they're leaching out oil or gassing out, that means that the vinyl may not stick as well at the same time. Like particularly on my front lip on my car, the plastic is polyurethane. It's extremely flexible, but the vinyl does not stick as well. How do I get it to stick? Well, I do my bumper in 3 separate pieces because I can't do it in 1 piece because it won't stick properly. In 3 pieces, you can't even see the seams. I showed actually some students in my workshop and how I did the seams. You can't even see them, and the vinyl wrap looks great and it lasts. Okay, next question, question 4. Average price that I charge to remove full wraps. Okay, so this is how it goes. Normally, if I wrap someone's car and they're coming back for a rewrap, I don't usually charge. If I do, maybe like $200 to $300. Depends on how much I have to remove, basically. How many trim pieces are there? How much detail is there? This and that. And there's all kinds of different things that play a role in there. What you're breaking it down by the hour and how much time you're spending on it and how much money you want to make per hour. So this is all labor in the end, of course, right? Because we're not actually using a product. We're actually removing the product with our physical ability. If someone brings a car in from somewhere else, I've quoted over $2,000 for wrap. I've even said that I can't even do it in some cases where we have a commercial wrap that's been on for 5 years that's completely cracked all the way through, and I won't even do it just because of first of all, the mental frustration that it'll take to do it. Second of all, it may not be even worth the customer's time to pay that much money for a removal. Sometimes the wrap has been on the vehicle for so long that the cost to remove it is almost the same price as the vehicle is worth. So what's it worth in the end, right? So do they keep it on? I don't know, whatever they decide to do in the end. Maybe they find someone who will do it, but in the end, I won't do it. So the price can range anywhere from, let's say, if I don't know who wrapped the car, it's going to start at $800 automatically. If I know who wrapped the car, I know what brand was used, and I know how long it's been on there for, and I for sure know that, then I can say like as low as $500. But that can range up to $2,000 or $3,000. Like I said, I've quoted over $2,000 before. Now, sorry, they're just doing a little bit of cleaning right now. So that's the average price. The average price that I charge there isn't really an average price. It's just kind of an in-between. So that was question 4. Question 5, what price do I charge for wraps on average, and what factors are considered in the final price? So whoever asked this question didn't see the video that I did on how to quote a wrap. So when we're quoting a wrap, what you do is you have your material costs, right? So you know the material that the customer is wanting for their wrap. So we're going to subtract that completely. They're going to pay for that. That's not going to come out of your pocket at all, for sure. And then what you want to do is you want to break down how many hours you think that it's going to take you to wrap the car. This includes washing the car, breaking down the car, prepping the car completely, wrapping the car, and putting it all back together, all right? And then possibly washing it again just to get handprints off and things like that. So this is time involved, right? This is a labor, this is a service that we do here. Wrapping cars is a service, and that's what people are paying for the most part. To find someone who's good enough, who's great at wrapping, usually those guys who are great at wrapping work on their own, just kind of like me. It's very hard for me to find someone to hire who's at my level who wants to work for someone, because they can actually build their own business if they're that good, right? And there's a lot out there. So it's a service, and when you go to these guys and these guys are good, then you're getting top quality service. Again, it's labor in the end. You want to make sure that everything's warranted, and so what it comes down to as well is I offer a warranty 1 year on my installation. So I incorporate some of that into the cost of the wrap, right? So what people are buying is a service. If I charge $150 an hour for a 20-hour wrap job, that's going to be $3,000 labor charge plus the material cost, right? So the material might be $800, it might be $500, it might be $1,000, whatever. So that's going to be, you're going to add the material on top of that. Some wraps, I've spent like 50 hours on some wraps. I spent 15 hours, I've spent 12 hours on some wraps. Sometimes you win, sometimes I'll quote at like, 15 to 20 hours and it'll take me 12 to 15 hours. So then I win, right? Sometimes I'll quote 30 hours, but it'll take me 50 hours or 35 or 40 hours. So then I kind of lose, right? So it averages itself out eventually, and eventually you start getting good at quoting your times. Again, you can never really know what problems you might run into along the way as far as disassembly goes, because you might be removing a door handle and all of a sudden the door handle breaks. You might be removing an emblem and all of a sudden the emblem breaks. You have to replace it. It's on you as far as that goes. So when it comes to quoting vehicles, there's also going to be a level involved, right? So if I'm quoting a Honda Civic and I break a door handle, that's cost me a lot less than breaking a door on a Lamborghini or a BMW, for example. So I can actually get the door handle on the Honda Civic for a lot less than I can a BMW, and then a BMW a lot less than a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. So these things I also have to incorporate into the price as well, the liability that's involved. Do you have insurance? Of course you have to have insurance, because if something happens, right? So if something major happens, if the roof caves in on the car, like this car right here. Imagine something like a brick fell from the ceiling onto this car, or the fan fell down on the car. It would be a nightmare. So we're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage. So we want to make sure we recover ourselves. So we want to make sure that we're charging a premium for cars that are a premium. And unfortunately, for those of you who do own cars that are premium value or even higher, then you do have to pay the price, because you do want someone to look after you in the end. Just make sure that what you're paying for, you're going to get in the end. Hope that answers that question on what I charge and what the factors are considered when wrapping a car. I'll also post a link in the top corner there for the way I quote cars. I did a video on that, so I'll post it right up there for you guys to look at. What kind of salary can I expect from wrapping cars in your own garage? All right, so basically where I started in my driveway. I started wrapping cars in my driveway without a garage. I used a tent, actually. I invested $100 into a tent big enough to cover the whole car. I had a mesh lining so that no insects would get in, and that's about it. I started doing it there. Obviously the maintenance and the not maintenance, the overhead is very low when you're doing it out of your own house. You're already paying to live there, or you've already paid to live there, or whatever. So your overhead is much lower. This makes your profit margin a lot higher. Now when you rent a space like this, we got 3,000 square feet here. Depending on where you are, what city you're in, what country you're in, what state you're in, what province you're in, it's all going to vary. So the salary that you could expect starting out would depend on also how busy you are. What you want to do is you want to break it down per hour. What you want to make per hour spent on wrapping, all right? After your material cost. The material cost has to be in there, and then everything else is labor, okay? Do you want to make 15 bucks an hour? Do you want to make 20 bucks an hour? Do you want to make 50 bucks an hour? If you're at home, again, you don't want to have any overhead other because you're already paying for the place to live. So keep that in mind. You might end up charging a bit less. When I was wrapping cars out of the house, I charged a lot less than everyone else. And was my work as good as any other professional shop? Most would say yes. Some shops would say no. So yes. So it isn't really a salary the salary involved is based off of your performance and obviously how busy you are. That is totally up to you. Just break down what you want to make per hour and and always strive for that or more. Now, number 7, do I offer t-shirts, hoodies with CK wraps on them? Yeah, we just started an e-commerce site. So again, I'll post a link in the description below. I can maybe throw it in the top corner there. So if you guys are looking for any t-shirts, I have some hats coming, but it's just t-shirts right now. It'll be up there for you guys. Is there a huge demand for it? I honestly have no idea. We sold a bunch, and it kind of came to a standstill. So maybe we just kind of satisfied everyone's need for them, and that's about it. Maybe we don't need to get any more. Number 8, cars that have a lot of body chips on the hood and bumper, do I need to do body work before wrapping it, or will the vinyl conform into all the small rock chips? Okay, this depends on the thickness of the vinyl, all right? Avery being the thinnest, it'll actually press, it's more likely to press into stone chipped areas. Then we start stepping it up to 3M, Vivid, Hexus, Oracal, all these guys are going to be thicker. Some will cover stone chips completely and you won't even see anything at all. And the stone chips kind of depend as well. Sometimes when a stone hits the vehicle's paint, what it will do is it'll hit here and then it'll push up the paint on the other side a little bit, so it'll actually cause the film to have a bump in it. Should you sand those down? That's totally up to your discretion. Will you see them? Of course. Just like any other car, like this car right here, it has PPF on it. I can see even under the PPF that we have debris right here. If not, that's in the clear coat. So there is going to, even, and this is a Lamborghini Aventador, right? This is not an inexpensive car. What model is this? Aventador S. So it's pretty badass actually. So this, there's always something wrong with some kind of car. So especially if you daily drive your car, do not kill yourself trying to get the most perfect finish possible. It's not going to happen. You're going to miss something somewhere. Even if you sand the whole car down, you're going to miss something somewhere for the most part. We're not in anti-static rooms, so being in a paint booth is totally different. So there's a positive to paint right there, is that you can have a more smooth finish or more perfect and more flawless finish in the end with paint. If we were in an anti-static booth, possibly, and we wore special suits, possibly we could keep away all lint, all debris, everything else. But again, it's nearly impossible when we're working in open environments, even in a shop that's closed doors. It doesn't matter. Even in your garage at home, it doesn't matter how often you clean it. It doesn't matter, because you're not in an anti-static environment. Things are going to be drawn in no matter what. This is metal. It's going to draw stuff in. And especially when you remove the backing paper, it's going to cause even more static, so it's going to draw more stuff in. So again, will stone chips show? It really depends on the film and the color as well, right? So the finish involved, so if it's matte, satin, gloss, the color, if it's black, white, blue, red, another finish, if it's brushed metal, carbon fiber, chrome, gloss chrome, matte chrome, satin chrome, gloss carbon fiber, matte carbon fiber, semi-gloss, all these things will vary, all right? So I can't actually tell you that everything will, if I put the wrap over one really stone chipped hood in one color and one finish, and I try a different finish after that, will it be the same as the finish prior? Most likely not. So again, how light reflects, how deep the wrap looks, all these kinds of things, how much metallic flake it has, this will determine how much shows underneath the wrap in the end. Now, I hope that answers that question there for you guys. Do not beat yourself up about having the most perfect wrap in the world. As far as imperfections in the paint go, there's usually not a lot that you can do about that. When it comes to everything else, the cutting, the trimming, the corners, the stretching, the inlays, the overlays, the seams, all that stuff, that's a different story. That you have control over. The actual finish of the paint, you don't have so much control over, unless the customer is allowing you to sand their car down, which is another big job. And I don't do body work really, so that's totally up to you. If you do, then hey, that may be something that you can offer. Again, you get into a whole different ballgame when you start doing stuff like that, right? So, that was question 8. Question 9. How do I mitigate debris under the vinyl? So again, I hope this is kind of answered in the question before. How do I clean the car before starting to wrap it? So what I think I need to do is I need to actually do another video on me demonstrating how I actually prep the vehicle. I talked about how I prep the vehicle. Well, I'll actually show you guys how I prep the vehicle. I remove a couple of things. Your license plates, try to remove the gas cap cover, and then the roof drip sill trims, try to remove those things. Anything that won't leak water into the car, you can remove. That will help you get dirt out of certain areas where dirt tends to build up, especially in the roof drip sill trims. Those are a very common area behind the license plates and in the gas tank area. So even if you can't remove the gas cap cover, you can open it up and spray in there. It helps get a lot of dirt out of there. So that's a huge thing. When you wash the car, you can strip the wax and oil off the car by using dish soap. That really strips the car down as far as getting everything off the surface goes. Now, after that, I've gone through many times. You know, I use a compressor. I use 70% isopropyl alcohol and clean microfiber cloths to make sure that we don't have anything left on the surface. Again, it's not always what's left around as far as debris goes. Sometimes the surface has an imperfection in it. One thing I can suggest to you is if you notice something, take a little video of it. If you're wrapping a car for a customer, take a picture, a couple pictures of it, and this way when they question it, you can actually show them. So cover your butt in the ends, basically. Hope that answers that question. My favorite wrap job I've ever done, I'm gonna say it's Jose's Camaro. I'm gonna post a link in the top corner there because this car was friggin' phenomenal. We did it in the satin black rusted chrome with rose gold chrome, crazy design camo. I don't even know if you want to call it camo. It was just like he came to me with this idea on what he wanted. He wanted a camo. He built it in like Need for Speed Underground. He showed me this idea on a Camaro. I was like, cool. It was kind of more basic, like the camo print was more spread out. So what I did is I took his idea and I elaborated on that idea. What I did is I more so freestyled it. And what I did was I showed him pictures along the way to make sure that he was obviously okay with things and how things were going in that direction, because my sense of style is not necessarily his sense of style. Again, he was super happy with it. It blew up quite a bit. It made quite an impression, and I was super happy with the overall outcome of what that wrap looked like. It was amazing. On top of that, once we were all done, we did black pinstriping on certain edges of the rose gold to sort of give it a three-dimensional look. Super cool. Probably one of my favorite wraps. I like the design ones. I think they're really cool. I don't get to do a lot of them. A lot of people are not so much into them as far as the people who come to me go. But again, it's something that I really enjoy doing. Now, question 11. If I wasn't rapping, what would I be doing now? Well, that's an easy one. I'd be a stripper. No, honestly, I don't know what I would be doing. I worked as a manager at the Keg for years, so it's a restaurant here in Canada. There's actually a couple in the US as well. Franchise steakhouse. Wonderful place to work. I really loved it there. I probably would have stayed there if I wasn't doing this. Love the job, like the people a lot. It was very positive, and it was a very positive environment, great morale amongst the entire staff and all the employees in the entire business itself. Everyone loved their job. Everyone really liked being there, and you could see. So on top of that, the perks were pretty awesome. We got great deals on steaks, and you can take your family out and stuff like that. So it was awesome. I liked working there a lot. I would have stayed there for sure if I had never gotten into wraps. The wraps kind of came as I had been working on wraps for years, and I didn't actually think anything of it. It was just a thing on the side, and I was doing pretty well. I was pretty busy, but it was still a thing on the side. I didn't see the business potential in it. So one day, I became so busy with wraps and started booking in so many wraps that I was just as busy and putting in as many hours in wraps as I was in a managerial position at the Keg. There came a time to choose because I couldn't put 100% into both jobs, in both careers. I had to choose one. What did I choose with? What did I side with? I chose my passion, right? I chose wraps. Wraps are, for me, where it's at. It's a new, fresh idea. I like it. The design involved. I'm a creative person. I find myself artistic. When I was growing up, I enjoyed art a lot, and I enjoy design. I also love cars. So perfect business to be in. It just kind of worked out that way for me. And I stuck to something that I love doing. It was a hobby in the beginning, and I just loved doing it. I found whatever reason I could to wrap cars. Even if I had to lower the price down just because I had another job, it didn't really matter. I just wanted to wrap cars. So that's about it, guys. So I hope the Q&A was what you were looking for. If you guys have more questions about myself or wraps in general or the industry, feel free to drop those comments below, and I'll have a look through them, and I'll maybe do another video for you guys. Guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you guys want to see some more videos, don't forget that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Take care.